Hi, everyone. I'm Cynthia Kane. Welcome back. So, before we talk about communicating with others, we need to talk about something just as important, which is how we communicate with ourselves, because the way you speak to yourself quietly really shapes the way you speak out loud. And today, we're going to reset your inner dialogue so you can show up more calmly, clearly, and intentionally in your conversations. So, why does inner dialogue matter? Most communication struggles, they don't start with another person. They actually begin internally, which is why all the work that I do with people begins with first learning how to listen to ourselves, changing the relationship with ourselves and how we talk to ourselves. There's that critical voice that says, I should have said that better. I'm bad at hard conversations. I always mess things up. And when that voice is loud, it creates tension in the body. And when there's tension inside, it shows up in our tone, our timing, and our words, even when we're trying to be calm. What we're looking for is a calm body, a calm mind, and calm words, right? So if our internal dialogue is creating more chaos within, we have a chaotic inside, which leads to a chaotic mind, which leads to chaotic language. So mindful communication really begins by noticing the tone we're using with ourselves. How are we talking to ourselves? Are we talking to ourselves in a way that's kind, honest, and helpful? Or are we talking to ourselves in a way that's actually hurtful and creating more fear and anxiety and doubt? So a simple practice that you can do to reset your inner dialogue, it's really replace, rephrase, and re-choose. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to replace, which means you have to have awareness first, right? So you're going to notice one recurring phrase that you say to yourself after or before a conversation. Something like, I'm terrible at this, or I never get this right, or what's the point of this? I'm going to mess it up. And right now, it's really just to notice it. We're not judging it. We're not evaluating it. We're not saying it's bad. We're not getting on our case about it. We are really just observing what are some things that we say to ourselves before a conversation. Okay, so that's the first step. The second step is then we're going to rephrase. So we're going to offer a kinder truth to ourselves. So this isn't forced positivity, though. This isn't like we are our biggest cheerleader or telling ourselves things that we don't believe. It's not forced, but it really is with honesty and with care. So, for example, we would say to ourselves in this situation more, maybe I'm learning how to communicate more clearly, or, I'm beginning to shift the way that I see the situation, or this is really hard and I'm practicing, right? We're being kinder to ourselves, gentler to ourselves, more friendly towards ourselves. And then we're just going to notice how different that feels, right? Even just saying to yourself right now, I'm terrible at this. And then saying to yourself, I'm learning how to do this, you can probably tell a difference in your body just by saying those two phrases. And that's really what we're after, right? We're after talking to ourselves in a way that creates more calm and rest in the body. So we have the awareness now, we've rephrased it. So now we're going to re-choose. So we're going to set a new inner direction. So we're going to choose how we want to speak to ourselves going forward. So you might say, I choose to speak to myself with patience and respect, right? I choose to speak to myself in a way that's kind, honest, and helpful. I choose to be friendlier towards myself. So these are the three steps that you're going to do to change that inner dialogue. You're going to replace, you're going to rephrase, and you're going to re-choose. Okay. So this last step, right? The choosing to speak in a kind, honest, and helpful way to ourselves, the choosing to speak to ourselves with patience and respect, it really creates a new internal tone within us. And that's what we want, one that really supports calm communication instead of undermining it. So this changes our outer communication. When your inner voice softens, your outer voice follows suit. You end up listening more fully. You react less quickly. You recover faster when conversations don't go perfectly. Changing the way you talk to yourself, it doesn't make you passive. It really makes you more present, which is what we're after in our interactions so that we can choose how we show up within them. So this week, choose one moment a day to practice the awareness that you're talking to yourself in a way that's not kind or helpful. And you're going to then, replace that. You're going to rephrase it, and you're going to re-choose. You're going to choose how you want to connect with yourself going forward. So especially after a conversation that feels awkward or unfinished or challenging, just let your inner dialogue become a place where you can notice it, you can be kind towards it. You're not judging it or evaluating it. You're just noticing. And then you're shifting the way that you're talking to yourself. You start to talk to yourself in a more kind, honest, and helpful way, and you're repairing it. You're not punishing yourself, you're repairing. So if you want more guided practices like this, I share monthly self-talk scripts, reflections, communication tools inside my Mindful Communication Insider. That's my premium newsletter that comes out once a month. You can also explore my books or listen to my Mindful Communication audio courses, and everything is linked below. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week as we continue resetting our communication practice for the new year.